So we talked about on another video that either just came out or is about to come out about how difficult content creation is. And we just got a taste of it. We just spent a good 15 minutes crafting, finely tuning a conversation about the copyright strikes that Jubilee leveled against AbaNPreach. And as soon as we hit the end record button, we got the notification that there is an update. Now, we had this whole thing about how unfair the fair use system is.
Yep.
And how petty you have to be to just start striking people's channels after you promoted people reacting to your content. In the case of Jubilee, we got an update from Aba that basically said that they resolved the issue. But first, they got a DM of support from H3H3,
which is funny because in the video before, right? I mentioned, I was like, whether you hate him or love him, H3H3, they fought for fair use and they won in court. So it was kind of funny, like them contacting AbaNPreach. I mean, that's great, man. I mean,
that's another reason I didn't want to throw away the other video, because I didn't want anybody to be like, well, you just reacted to that. No, you actually said it before we found out this happened.
I mean, listen, we can have a little cutaway to it right here. Whether you hate him or love him, H3H3, they fought for fair use. They did. And they won that decision. But I think YouTube themselves need to come down with a guideline, right? But I think when it kind of comes down to it, like watching the video, watching the update, it's all good news. But Jubilee changing their stance, though, right? They're changing
without telling anybody,
without telling anyone. And you were saying, oh, it could have been like a different company, a manager, right? And that has happened in the past, right? Like a YouTuber, due to working under a certain company, they're like, oh no, I didn't want that. I don't want that to be copyright strike. I'll try to have that removed, right? But no, Jubilee themselves, who they use AbaNPreach for advertisement on their own website, and they kind of boast that reaction channels are like support the channel, like everybody reacts. It's very like viral type content. And now they change the content, like change their viewpoint on it without making a public announcement or even changing their branding. So that's just a failure. So I'm going to be even harder on Jubilee. I'm going to be harder on Jubilee in this regard. Instead of having an open dialogue with content creators, I understand that you put a lot of work, there's a lot of money, there's production costs. Why not just have a conversation? Why do you have to go to the copyright strike? Listen, hey man, we're realizing this makes our business model not make money, and we're gonna we can't allow this anymore, right? So instead of putting copyright strike, can you take it down, or we're gonna copyright strike it? Have some type of conversation, right? Because when you have to deal with these legal battles, you can get your channel completely terminated, and that's what AbaNPreach were worried about. So I think on that end, while they did kind of apologize and said they should have been more transparent, I'm happy they did that, but it should have never even gotten to this place in the first place.
I'm gonna be a little bit more harsh, Cap. In Aba's explanation, he said that he spoke with the CEO directly. Now, if Aba can get access to the CEO after all of this, then he should have had access to the CEO before this.
100%.
Aba said that and I'm just going to call it an excuse, straight up. It was an excuse. Oh, well, people are stealing our content. And Aba says, well, there are people who are just running the video and not saying anything and taking views.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not copyright strike those guys? Everybody knows who AbaNPreach is. We know that you know who they are. Do you know why? Because they're in your promotional material. So you knew that they're not one of these, it costs us so much money in production and we're losing money. They're not the reason you're losing money, and you knew that. You just used that so that you could try to use some sort of sympathy play for how you tried to fuck them in the ass. Yo,
That's
do you
right.
think that's Meek Mill you're talking to on the phone? No, that's
Diddy.
Abba Zaba.
That's Diddy, baby. He's trying to, P Diddy.
I don't like the disingenuous lies to try to like, you were wrong. If
Yeah,
you're
no.
the CEO of Jubilee, you were wrong for what you did. Just own up for it. That's it.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it's a CEO. They're never going to admit fault because then that can open up to lawsuits and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I mean,
try
that's
this
listen.
lawsuit.
You know me dealing with legal battles. That's what they do. They're never going to admit fault. They're never going to admit fault, right? And they'll just try to have a settlement to make you go away. Whole different conversation. Anyways, I think the one thing I'll say that AbaNPreach is funny, because I did say in a little bit of my video, but actually not about the monetization part. I do agree that YouTube needs to update their monetization in this regard. It shouldn't just be all for one. Like, it shouldn't just be like one way or another, right? If you're a content creator that does reaction type content, right? Yeah, put 10%, 20% of, the earnings towards the actual original video. I think that would solve a lot of the issues, and that probably would make things so much more complicated on YouTube's end. But with, they're owned by Google, like billion-dollar company, I think it would be a smart investment, because then I think you would see less of these issues, right? If I made original content, very like high-produced stuff, and along my own video that's going to get millions of views, I had hundreds of millions, probably tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of views from reaction content on like a 20% clip. Dude, that's I'm rubbing my hands like Birdman. I'm like sitting here kind of excited, like, okay, like I can make money off of my own original content. I can make a little bit of scratch off these people reacting to my content, so it would incentivize the reaction community. And the one thing I will say too, I do agree with Abba on this, is that the reaction community, not all of them, but there are some of them that are extremely lazy, where they'll just sit there,
That's not reacting.
No, but it's, well, that is how some of them work, right?
Yeah.
Where they don't do any type of reaction. But so I agree with him on that point. But I think having the percentage based system would solve a lot of issues. I really do. I think that would solve a lot of these issues. But Jubilee eventually did the right thing due to getting pressured. It was a peer pressure decision, which makes me respect the CEO even less, because he caved. But ultimately,
I respect him more because he caved.
I don't know, man. Like,
You don't need to double down on bullshit. We just talked about
that's
this.
true. That's true. I guess maybe
When it came to the Watcher channel.
Listen. You're right there, right? I'm just saying, I don't think it should have even gotten to this point in the first place. I do appreciate. I should word it better. I appreciate him, like, changing his, I guess, decision and getting rid of the copyright strikes or whatever. But this all could have been prevented with just a goddamn conversation. And you know what? If you're going to change your policy, make it a public statement. And don't use those reaction channels as publicity on your own webpage.
Right.
Because that's the one thing I would demand. I'd be like, well, listen, if you're changing your stance, I don't want to be in that video. I want my video. I want it edited out. And if I was every single content creator in that video, I would take a stance like, listen, I want out of that video as well. Like, I don't want any part of a brand that's going to be, using me as publicity, right? Using me as promotion. And then at the same time, copyright strike my channel. Like, F off. You can F all the way off with that.
Right. I totally agree. I just thought it was slimy the way they tried to do it. I think that they knew very well who the thieves are and who they're not.
Oh, yeah.
And then they purposely leveled 7 strikes on them.
Yep.
Knowing what it would do. These are not, if you're the CEO or you're the this or you're the that of any company, you know what you're doing. And I thought it was very disingenuous. And I think that Abba was really, really kind. One thing that Abba did say, that I like this idea because of the Locker Room channel. There's this really nice hockey channel called The Locker Room on YouTube. And they do use some clips from different hockey games from, not just the NHL, but, the AHL and other places where they can find clips. I don't know. The team over there at The Locker Room, they just work really, really hard to find all of this content. And you guys should check them out.
Appreciate
it. If the copyright holders just got 10% because you're sitting there doing all the editing, and the only thing you're doing is drawing more attention to their brand.
Yeah.
10, 15% max. Let me go get the clips that I need to get. You guys get what you need to get. You get a little tiny slice of the pie. I did, a lot of the work here, the editing and the voiceovers and all that other stuff. Rub your hands of it and call it a day. I don't understand why that would be so hard.
I agree. It shouldn't be that hard of I think it should be a system they try to implement so you can kind of you get rid of this issue. You do, I mean, heck, I wish I could copyright strike people that bite my videos. Anyways, I think I think when it kind of comes down to it is that end of the day, it's great news. AbaNPreach channel that no longer going to be worried about getting terminated. I do respect Ethan and Hilda. I respect them a lot, even though they disagree with them, don't even like them. Yeah. I respect immensely them doing like, hey, like, listen, I got this lawyer, I did this battle. I as a human being, I'm like, all right, dude, like, I might not agree with everything they say, but like on the real, I'm like, that was some real shit right there.
For me, it goes beyond me not liking what Ethan has to say. Yeah. I think that he is ethically challenged, straight up. I sincerely dislike the guy. However, here on TSP, we give credit where credit is due. That took gargantuan nutsacks to hop into the DM of Abba and say, yo, I got you. That's crazy.
No, but that's because they fought that battle for years, and that's why that's how they got so that's why a lot of people used to respect them quite a bit, because they fought the good fight and like fought for fair usage on YouTube. So I think
I gotta give them a lot of credit, man. I gotta give them a lot of credit.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Not gonna make me watch their content, but
no, but just
that's I definitely have a much better opinion of them as human beings.
So, I mean, I'll just be real. The Jubilee, though, I'll say this, is I don't think it would be intelligent for anybody to have... even if you still have reaction videos up, I would just take them down. Like, hey, like, listen, you don't want to use the reactions? That's fine. I would just not put yourself in that situation. And,
let's see how many views you get now. Because, you complained about how expensive it is to make... Okay, you know what? All the big YouTubers, stop referencing them. Don't link to them. Pretend they don't exist.
Yeah, exactly. That would probably be the best thing going forward. Let's see if they can stay. Because Jubilee, in a sense, let's just be real, the only reason they were so popular, at least in my opinion, they did have their dedicated fan base, but it was just because of how cringe the videos were. Right. So, like, you had a reaction content be like, yo, what is this? And then you would have somebody like, let me go see the original, like I talked about in the original video we made. But yeah, this is good news for AbaNPreach. I'm glad that things are getting sorted out. And YouTube's got to fix
the frauds in Florida are real mad.
Yeah.
They're mad because they was about to celebrate.
I think when it kind of comes down to it, man, when it comes to, like, YouTube's got to adjust their fair use or copyright policy. Talked about it in the original video, so I'll just mention it really briefly before we go. There's got to be just a set parameters met. And I understand there's a bunch of legality with that, but like 15% of the video, 20, 30, 40%, like make some type of percentage-based system of the original video that you can use. So then that's the freaking guidelines, not this whole like leave it in the air and up to mystery. Like that stuff, it allows companies like Jubilee to abuse the system when they don't necessarily like what's happening.
Right.
So that's my opinion. You got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right, so we here at the TSP podcast, or the Half and Half Power Hour, we're here to bring you low-quality content, low-effort content. So if you enjoy really low-produced, crappy videos, make sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe, because with just one like, with just one comment, you get us bumping in the algorithm, and our greatest video, hopefully what one day won't be my video made on Sneeko. So we're TSP. We'll see you in the next one.